Hola, bonjour, and hello, everybody. You are listening to Worldwide Tea. It's the only podcast where every single week we cover every single international season of RuPaul's Drag Race and the spin-offs and the Christmas episodes and everything else they have going on. And most critically, as always, I am Evan Sawdey from Pop Matters,
I'm Gregory Ellwood from the playlist.
and I hate to break it to you. I know that you, as a listener, are very upset. I know you're very sad right now that, again, we were not nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Podcast.
No,
I know it's heart-wrenching. I
no.
know we didn't even make the long list. I was hoping the write-in ballots would be enough, but another day in Hollywood. You just got to keep moving on. I think next year will be our year, Greg. I'm almost confident of it.
I never thought we'd have anything in common with Ben Shapiro or Joe Rogan, but now we do. We got snubbed. We got snubbed.
Yeah, yes, and what elite
But
company we are in, truly.
fight on,
Here we
fight
go.
on.
As always, we are
Also,
going to
the
have co
Daily, also the New York Times Daily. We also are in company with them. They also got snubbed. People thought they were getting
You know what?
nominated for this
Yeah,
bullshit
we have a
award.
lot more in common with that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I know the game's editor. They're really nice. But most critically, we are covering Canada's Drag Race Season 6, Episode 3. And for those who are still listening, guess what? We cover all the seasons, which means we just finished covering up all of España Season 5, all the way up to a finale to our new winner. And if you want to check out our reactions to that, please go check it out. But most critically, at the start of every episode, we like to say that in this house of love, we always believe that all drag is valid and no queen ever deserves online hate. And as American entertainment journalists, we may not get every cultural reference, and we always appreciate corrections. And there are some truly great queens who aren't good at Drag Race, and we love them all the same.
We do.
And you know what? Some of that love is put to the test in this episode, Greg. But most critically, we're here. We're at Canada's Drag Race, Season
Mm.
6, Episode 3, and we saw the preview from last week. We knew this was coming. I don't think we were ready. I don't think we were
No.
ready for
And
what this
listen,
fucking episode entailed.
Evan, you are the champion of giving Canada's Drag Race production team all of the credit of the world for trying, daring things, and sometimes it doesn't work. The Snatch Game
Mhm.
musical, I don't know if you would say that worked,
That was
but
not
it
successful at
tried.
all.
It
Yeah,
tried. They were trying. This worked, and I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off again,
right.
but I want someone else to try. I want an I Can you imagine if Philippines did this? Like it would just be crazy. Like I would love to see that. I would love to see France. I would love, you know what? I'd love to see the UK try to do this. That would be fun.
hmm
But we'll see.
hmm
We'll see what happens.
It's okay. No, we're stuck
Um,
with the fucking lucky cow instead, Craig. Anyway,
they
right
come back in.
after,
Yeah, I
yes.
was
Well,
about
we
to
don't.
say.
They don't come
We
back in.
No, because right after Palo Procession, I always get her last part. The
Yeah.
icon. How am I saying what how do you pronounce her last
Palo
name?
profession. Yeah.
Profession. Right after her magic, her power, resulted in a 6 hour citywide power outage in Hamilton, Ontario, which is where they shoot for tax credits. As one of my very close friends who is very Canadian says, it's a shithole where people do meth and drugs live. But So they end up coming in the next day out of drag to go check out the mirror where they
Uh-huh.
finally get to see her message. And It's as sort of chaotic and out there and goofy as you'd expect Paolo to leave a message. Thank God no one stupidly cleaned the mirror before they got there.
The thing is that like, for anyone who's been following any of the socials on here, my God, they fucked up. I sent Paolo
Mhm.
home because to see not only drag queens like Kyra Thrax, friend of the pod, do her verse, but like Brooklyn is doing her verse from the song. Like it's achieved pure meme status. This is Mirage's "I'm not that bitch, I'm just a bitch" like all
Yeah,
over again. Like it is taking over the internet. It's a whole thing, and she only lasted those 2 episodes. So
and
it's
she should never
wild.
have
It's
been in the
love.
bottom anyway.
Never
Like
should have. Well, she did have that trash bag runway, which you and I disagree on.
we
But
disagree,
most
I'm sure.
critically, it's still wild over there. So the next day they're in street clothes when they read this message. We cut to the graphic of, "Hey, we're Canada's Drag Race, $100,000, no Shoppers Drug Mart," and then they're just at the tables, and then they're just at the table ready to talk. To which and they
And
talk about how they feel about the competition. And Sammy Landry says she's very sad over Paolo leaving, and quote, "I thought she was going to win the competition," which I don't know about you, Greg. I think that might be a stretch, maybe.
so I have to tell you, this began a very roller coaster ride with me and Star in this episode,
Yes,
Evan,
yes.
because Star was super grating. She was playing producer at the table, and she was calling out Sammy for not fighting for herself. And there are moments I do have to say, Canada does suffer. Some of the things it does suffer is the queens are not good at pretending that the notes they were given by the producers to talk about aren't notes they were given by the producers to talk about. And that sort of rubbed me the wrong. I was sort of like, because I knew what happened in this episode. I
Right.
knew the elimination order, and I was like, all right. But I was like, we'll get to it. But I sort of feel like what happened to Star may have been her sort of annoying everyone. Like, what, did you get that vibe at all?
I mean, a little bit, but also, if anyone has watched our Meet the Queens of this season, which a lot of the queens from the season actually are in the comments section on YouTube if you haven't checked it out
Yeah.
already. When we did it, though, I was pretty blunt force about how much, like, I cannot believe that Star Doll is the daughter of Suki Doll. Like,
Suki.
yeah, I just could not believe it because for Suki to be someone who is so composed, who did so fucking well on her
Yeah.
Station Royale run, for this, it just felt like she's just so bright and wide and just like she has this fakeness and this presentationalness to her where I just feel like I truly, truly, throughout all three of these episodes so far, I still don't know who the real star is. And like I have a little bit more of an idea of what a Saltina is. I have a little bit more about, some of these queens, but I
Yeah.
definitely know who Maya Fox is, much to my surprise. But it is still just a trip.
It
It is a
it
journey.
was a
Yeah.
trip,
Yeah.
totally a trip. And I feel like we sort of got there by the end, but she
Hmm.
is a little bit of like, Laganja got all that bullshit from Rue and Michelle that like this wasn't, and also Bianca and Adore everybody on that season.
Yeah, yeah.
This wasn't really her. And guess what? It really was that was pretty close to who Laganja is as a personality. Like, and
Hmm.
I maybe it's just if you don't, maybe because it's such a short frame, unless you're around her more often, you realize this really is what she's like. But the queens are feel to me like they're slightly grated by her. Um,
Hmm.
but anyway, Brooklyn comes in,
Uh-huh.
and much to her surprise, and to the queen's surprise, she announces, as we have teased before because it was in last week's preview, they're going to be playing either the Snatch Game or doing a design challenge. And the queens are legit shook, like any queen would be, because it's never been done in any season. And as Brooklyn says, it's choosing your own adventure. And to make that theme work, they will pick potions out
Hmm.
of basically treasure boxes, um, one representing Snatch Game and one design. And because Sammy Laundry survived the lip sync last week, she gets to go first and then gets to pick who goes after her.
Hmm.
So do you mind, Evan, if I go down this
Oh,
long roadway?
please. Yeah.
So Sammy picks first and she decides to do Snatch Game. And a surprise, she picks Hazel next. Because remember, I think Hazel was eliminated, was almost at the bottom.
Mm.
Hazel, who I actually thought would have been a more of a Snatch Game girl, goes
Hmm.
with design. And I was not expecting that at all.
Hmm.
He picks Van Gogh, much to the disappointment of PM,
Hmm.
because PM, in a very Ginger Minge Katya way, keeps thinking that Hazel and her are like great friends. I don't
Hmm.
think that it's a mutual friendship thing,
It's
but
it
that's a whole
is
other
not pastry and
conversation.
bones. Is all I can
No,
say. It's
no,
not
it's not
pastry and
that.
bones. Yeah.
And instead picks Van Gogh, which by the way is giving Van Gogh a huge advantage. They all know Van Gogh is a super good designer. And by not forcing Van Gogh to do Snatch Game, by keeping her towards the end, the Queen's made a strategic mistake. Van Gogh picks design. So we've got a
Hmm.
Snatch Game, two designs. Van Gogh picks Ebony. Ebony is like, I could tell you a mile away, she is not a designer. She picks Snatch Game. She is a personality.
Hmm.
She wants to do it. She picks Star, and Star, being
Hmm.
from the House of Suki Doll, decides to do design, who then, instead of picking her friend Caramilk, picks Dulce, which really sort of annoys the crap out of Caramilk, who is afraid she's not going to get to do Snatch Game. But it's okay. Dulce picks design, and and Caramilk gets her choice, and she picks Snatch Game. Then we've got it's really interesting. They are sort of leaving some strong contenders at the end here to sort of like
Hmm.
not have a choice. Saltina does decide to go with Snatch Game. Even I
Hmm.
she is not a designer. She's clearly paying for all these amazing outfits,
Yep.
which
With her
fine, that's
billions of
life.
YouTube, TikTok creator fund dollars. Yes,
It's all
absolutely.
good. And then Velma, she picks Velma, which PM is also surprised, who picks Snatch Game. And
Hmm.
PM is forced to do design. And PM did not want to do design. PM
No, she
wanted
did
to do
not.
Snatch Game. No, no,
Hmm.
no, no. And last but not least is Maya Fox. And there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And Brooke goes, well, now you get to just choose whatever you want. And you can just see they cut to PM's eyes just bug out. Like if
Raging,
I'd only been
upset.
last.
Right.
And Maya, in a surprise, I feel like the safer thing to do would always be design. That's how I
Hmm.
would think. Even though I feel
Hmm.
like I'm a charismatic person, I feel I could do a character. Snatch Game is so hard.
Hmm.
Maya's ready for it. She picks Snatch
Hmm.
Game.
He's ready.
And it is what it is. So they I wrote this down. Oh, we find out that the snap the theme for design is supposed to be the Snatch Game after party, which is they did not need to make this so
Yep.
complicated. And it's basically a scene stealer, which is just make a great outfit. And it's thanks to Ant's Fabric Shop from Hamilton, Ontario, who provided the
Absolutely.
fabrics. What did you think of this setup, Evan, and how these queens found themselves where they did?
Well, for one, Brooke does spoil the fact that this is an episode that is going to, out the gate, have two winners, and there's
Yes.
going to be four bottoms. And that leaves the queens absolutely shook because no one really knows how any of this is going to work. I mean,
Yeah.
we, the audience, absolutely had no idea how this is
Agreed.
going to work. But I think maybe perhaps learning from the problems with Snatch Game the musical, they kind of knew how to split the difference wisely, correctly. And
Yeah.
overall, like, my biggest question throughout all this, I thought the potion thing was fun because that forces people like PM into different situations. Like, I think that's kind of
Hmm.
interesting. But like, uh, why is there 11? Like, I feel like why do we bring out this challenge if we know that there's only 10 vials? Like, it just feels like something happened in scheduling with production where it's like, yeah, we have to get this challenge out right now. Oh, and by the way, there's one left over. Like, they had to like pivot. Yeah.
No, I don't think you're giving them credit. I think they did that on purpose. I think they
Oh.
100% did this on purpose. They loved that twist because when we watched it, it is a genuine twist. We did
Hmm.
not know what was going to happen without there being one more vial.
Correct.
I think they knew that. I think that it was really smart of them. And that if they had done it where it was just like, oh, you're stuck. I mean, how many times have we
Right.
watched on Drag Race an episode where it's the last one, you don't get a choice? Like, I actually thought it was super smart. That was my
Hmm.
sort of take on it.
Absolutely. And all we know is that PM is pissed off at Hazel and doesn't want to talk about it and doesn't want to get a hug in the workroom. She doesn't want to have any of that stuff right
No.
there. She's in her feelings, which is understood.
But PM is giving me sort of I feel like the Canada seasons keeps having this. It's a queen who you think is going to be quirky and cool and fun, and then they start to become just a little grating. Like denim. Like I'm getting denim
I
vibes
like
from PM.
I
I don't
like
like denim.
denim. It's okay.
Denim was
As
like,
always, Greg and I always we will have different
we don't
opinions
always
about some of
agree.
these queens. Exactly.
No.
But because of the compressed timeline that we're filming this episode in, all of a sudden there's no time for Brooklyn to do a walk through the workroom. So it's the queens who have to
Which
talk about their choices. Yeah.
I disagree with that. They could have made that work. I thought that was a
Yeah.
mistake. Because later on they do have guests come in. I
Correct.
thought Brooklyn should have come in and talked to them about their choices. I That was the one thing this episode I didn't like was them just sitting around pretending to talk about what they were going to do because the producers were like, gagging them. But maybe Brooklyn was like, I want to go smoke a cigarette, like you all do it. I'm going to go through this really quickly to help you because our my co-host is battling violently valiantly a bug, a flu bug or something.
Dying
But
slowly.
we
Yes.
discover that we find out some really interesting things. Saltina
Yeah.
has a science degree and knows what she's talking about and is going to do Albert Einstein. Ebony is going to do Kiki Palmer, which okay, that could work.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe
What was her
not.
alternate?
I can't remember what it wasn't. Was it
Abby
good?
Lee Miller.
Oh no, that would have been terrible. No one has done Abby Lee Miller well on Drag Race. That's
Right.
a
Yeah.
huge mistake. Maya had two options, but she does decide to finally do Teresa Caputo, who has also been done not so greatly
Hmm.
on Drag Race before. I can't remember who Maya's alternate was, but it seemed so. Is she? Who was it?
Sidney Crosby, aka Sid the Kid, who I believe is a Canadian
Oh,
hockey player.
Yes, she made the right choice.
Yes.
Sammy is going to do Taylor Green, which Marjorie, sorry, Taylor Green, which by the way, so timely. Didn't know it when they shot this last March, but super timely. And then Caramilk, oh boy. Caramilk is going to do Flava Flav, even though she knows Shea Coulee did a quote unquote legendary Snatch Game win. So here's the thing. That wasn't a legendary performance. That was like not a great Snatch Game, and Shea barely won that. It was the one thing that made Aru laugh. It's sort of like uh Deja Sky doing Little John. Like not a great Snatch Game, just the best out of a terrible Snatch Game. So I sort of am like, or do you disagree? Did you think
Oh,
Shea's
fully, because there was Shay versus Jujubee as Eartha Kitt, and then in the other group there was Alexis Mateo as Walter Mercado, the medium.
yes.
So like I thought overall that was a pretty good Snatch Game, genuinely. But I also
But
just want to briefly
Jujubee
highlight.
was wait,
Yes,
were they
Jujubee was good.
tied? Did they both win? Was it like two wins or did
No, it's Lip Sync Assassin rules for season 5, so that was just Shay's win, even though
Oh, that was
Jujubee has the
bullshit.
iconic.
Oh yeah, Jujubee should have won that. That was terrible.
Exactly. Also, what did Velma say she was going to do?
Oh, did I miss Velma? Oh,
Yeah.
Velma's going to do Justin Trudeau. By the way, now official on Maine, Katy
Yeah.
Perry's
I
boyfriend.
saw. I saw right before
Yep.
it. Friend of the show. Not
Friend
our
of the
show, but
show,
Drag Race.
Drag Race, Canada's Drag Race. Which you know what? At this point in the episode, you go, Velma's a drag king. She's going to
Yeah.
knock this out of the park. This is going to
Yeah,
be
that's what
great.
I was thinking.
Justin's originally French Canadian. Like she'll be able to pull some part of it in French. She'll do something funny. It'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be great, Evan.
I think so. I'm holding out hope, Greg.
Holding out hope. I did write at this point. I'm not really sure what happened in the workroom, but I wrote, "I'm not going to miss Star." I don't know what Star said. I don't know what Star did, but I was like, "I'm not going to miss her." Do you
There's way too much
remember?
talk of alliances this episode. I'll
Oh,
just be so real with you. Like it gets like almost interesting, but then it gets really boring really fast, and I just stop caring at a certain point. So just
uh,
FYI.
but what we do find out, the design girls are talking, and we find out that both Aurora Matrix and the one and only Terra Nova, blast from the past,
Hmm.
had looks made by Van Gogh. So Van
Hmm.
Gogh has been making looks for Canada's Drag Race queens for a while. So this should put the fear of God into anyone else in this design challenge.
I love that they show the clips of the dresses that she made, and I think they're like incredibly mid, but like it's okay. Like it's still, they're still purchasable items. That's the key.
There is also a really interesting thing that happens at this point.
Hmm.
Star tells all the other girls that she's going to do a mermaid dress. And they purposely put this in there and they purposely have it in confessionals the queens be like, I don't know. I don't know if you
Hmm.
should be doing that. And to make it sound like it was a really bad choice. But we'll talk about that later. That's my
Yes, we
take of
will.
it.
Put a pin in that, listener,
Put a
as we
pin
go
in
on this
that.
journey.
Speaking of alliances, Ebony and Velma decide because Ebony is our trans queen this season,
Uh-huh.
and Velma are going to do a girl alliance. Except
Hmm.
Ebony really doesn't believe in any alliances, but she's going to have alliances with
She's
everyone.
playing the room, baby. As she
Play in
as
the
she said at
room.
one point, I feel like Oprah. You get an alliance, and you get an alliance, and you get an alliance. Like she's just whatever works. But everything's to quote the great Johnny Rzeznik of Goo Goo Dolls. Everything's made to be broken. I just want you to know
Everything
who I
is.
am. Yes.
Yes. But it's time for Snatch Game. And Evan, the queens are all on the panels, and we have our two guest judges, or so our two guest contestants, and they are none other than Icesis Couture as Donatella Versace, perhaps one of the most overrated Snatch Game things that we've ever had in any season, and with the callback to Global All Stars,
Finally, it exists. It's
Pythia
real.
Pythia as the Greek god Zeus, and fucking hot. I know it's just a costume, but
Yeah.
just so hot.
Greg,
Like
wait till she
just
enters the workroom later on. Holy
oh,
fuck. It is
so hot.
I want to destroy that twink. It's just
So
incredible. Yeah.
uh this was my take on the Snatch Game Queens. You tell me because I don't know if we need to go through individual jokes unless you have notes that you want to talk about certain things.
No,
Do
not
you have
particularly.
notes?
Yeah, you could do the quick sum. I think that's good.
I
It was a good
I
Snatch Game
thought
overall. Yeah, not great.
I thought Maya was really good as Teresa. I thought she gave in Meet the Queens and in the first two episodes early out. And
Yep.
she proved to me that nope, we're wrong. She's more
She showed us
talented
who
than
she
we get.
was. I was
Yeah.
so surprised. I was so impressed, genuinely. Yeah.
Also getting cuter as the season goes on as a boy. Just a little bit, a
Yeah,
little cute.
putting that out there.
Um,
Put a pin in that audience.
Sultina is good as Albert Einstein. It's fine. There's some
Yeah,
funny moments. It's a little too forced. I didn't think that her doing the sort of like sexy Albert Einstein was as smart as she thought it was. What did you think?
I would agree. I would agree. She did a nice joke about take that Oppenheimer or something, which was, pretty good,
Yes,
but it was better when she was playing in character than she was just kind of talking about just kind of general stuff. She still did fine, but like, much as with her challenge win last week, I'm still like, yeah, I'm still not fully sold on Saltina. I'll be fully real. So, yeah,
agreed. Caramilk just should not have done Flavor Flav. That's all we can
at
tell
all.
you. If you've not watched the episode, it was close to a disaster. Like she was
Yeah.
able to get jokes out, unlike Velma, but it just did not work. Any other
At all.
thoughts on this flavor?
No, it
Flavor.
was so bad.
But somehow Velma's Justin Trudeau was worse. It didn't play out that way with the bottoms, but somehow she was worse. This was I don't know if maybe we'll find out next episode. I don't know if she
Yeah.
was frozen with fear, if she hadn't rehearsed it enough. I haven't heard anything post episode of her talking about it. But it was bad. It was bad for a queen
Yeah.
who's known to be super talented in this space and is
Yes.
not necessarily a legend, but like really respected. It was sort of shocking. I was shocked a little
Right.
bit. Were you?
My heart sank throughout this entire episode because it's like, I love her so
Yeah.
much. I think she's fantastic, but it's just like, she was still engaged throughout the whole time. Even when she was bombing, she was still looking. She was still in character. She was still there for the whole time. I appreciate that so much. But my God, none of her answers made any sense. As
Mhm.
the critiques rightly pointed out to her, she had these prepared bits, and they didn't correlate to the answers at all. And she couldn't find a way to shoehorn them in. And it just got super awkward super quickly to the point where other people were able to make jokes on it pretty easily. And it was just very unfortunate, ultimately.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I thought Ebony was fine as Kiki, like the definition of a safe snatch game.
100%.
And Sammy started off really rough, Landry
Yes.
as Marjorie, but as she had a couple moments towards the end that genuinely made everyone laugh, and I think that saved her from being as low as Flava and Velma. Although I am starting to wonder, as much as I love our kooky queen, who is so good at social media and has great looks. What are you good at, Sammy Landry?
I
Because
mean,
I haven't figured it
truly.
out yet.
It wasn't for being the fucking tour director last week, I'll tell you that
No.
much. Just saying, just put that out there.
But it ends, and again, it ends, and the one thing I wrote was just Maya was so good. Like I
Yep.
thought this was just she would have made Rue laugh, she would have made Nikki laugh, she would have made uh um any I think Michelle, like I thought she killed it. I will
Yeah,
remember this from Canada's Drag Race for a while. She was that good. Um
absolutely.
But then we go back to the workroom, and basically what happens, actually, I should say, is the Snatch Game queens come in and they start to de-drag, but they're sort of kicked out of the workroom by the design queens who still need to
Are
work.
still
They get to
working.
go home. The Queens get to go home to the hotel, basically, and the design queens are staying still working. And while they're working, out of drag comes in Icesis Couture and Pythia to give advice. I just want to go back and just say one more thing. Isis was not good as Donatella in this Snatch
Yeah,
Game. Like, and so much so that it needs to stop. Like, no more of this, please. Pythia was great. Pythia was smart and ready for Global All Stars 4. But yeah. Any other but anyway, they come into the workroom. Any thoughts on the advice they
Greg.
gave or
Well, first off, the I felt bad for the design queens because they had to step out to be in the audience for the Snatch Game, and then they had to step back
yes.
and continue working on their design. So there was that. But man, when Isis and Pythia come in effectively their boy looks on here, My God, I don't know what's happening. It's just there's primal urges at play. Like Isis looks like a fashion diva, but
Yeah.
Pythia, dear fucking Christ. But what they do is that they do the thing, much as Suki Doll, much as they've done in some other seasons. They go around to each of the queens and give genuine, real, amazing, and
Yes.
practical advice. They're talking about like, hey, maybe this will be used to help prop this up, so you don't have to worry about it. And they really like it's just really cool little droplets, really cool ideas that they bounce out together until they get to PM. Because they like all the other queens, they're like, "Show us your sketch." And PM is like, "I don't have a sketch. I'm just gonna do it as denim to annoy you further. I don't have a sketch really." But most importantly, they're just looking at it and it's just a mess. Have you walked to this? No, I haven't. Like it's just clear that PM is kind of on Crash Out City right now, and it's no matter what advice
And
they have, it's unfortunately not helping.
And I don't know if it happens after they leave, but PM has an emotional breakdown
Yes,
and
after they leave.
really is
Yes.
after they leave. And I can't remember who came over and comforted them. I don't think it was I think it was everyone but Van Gogh. I think they
Yeah,
all
I
sort of
think
came.
Hazel came over. Yeah, I think
Hazel,
if I'm
yeah,
not
that's who
mistaken.
it
Yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah,
Friend Hazel, their friend Hazel.
yeah.
Um,
Like page six, page three.
but then also as you said, there's too many alliances going on here, Evan.
Jesus fucking
We find
Christ.
out that now Ebony and Van Gogh, who are two of the premier Toronto queens. By the way, there's a lot of fucking Toronto queens for them to be like the two of the premier ones.
Uh-huh.
But they have a Scissor Sisters alliance, which I don't really get, but
Yeah.
they're going to stick by each other. Watch out for this one. Um, but anyway, it's time for the runway. And I liked this look from Brooke. I thought it was Brooklyn. I thought it was super cute. I don't always love polka dots. Oh wait, did I
Mhm.
forget something?
Oh, just the one thing I wanted to say is that very critically, Star and Hazel and Van discuss their alliances as the first three girls in.
Uh
That's just a key plot point. Just remember, put a pin in that. And Ebony later missed to Van. They made too many alliances. But yes, I
yes.
agree. This is a great look on Brooklyn. I think Isis is just fucking drenched
Yes.
in jewels. She is showing up to something. Let me tell you, those nails. Go ahead.
I like that it's a little Christmassy color. Like it's a little red and green. I was
Little on
like
theme, yeah.
a little on theme,
Maybe.
I guess. But also, why is Pythia not allowed to be on the dais? I want my girl
Yeah.
Pythia there.
Maybe
Like
she
I'm
was too
sort of
busy.
annoyed.
I don't know.
I guess so.
Well, hey, Greg, as a fun fact, next week we get, once again, Alyssa Edwards, and she
Global
speed
are
runs
gl
through fucking every franchise. You didn't realize that
Listen,
winning Global All-Stars made you go to any. I can't wait for her to be a guest on Drag Race Liechtenstein. She will show up, unquestionably. I don't
she's
understand
re
it, but I think it's fantastic. This
she's
is the true
gonna
diva experience.
listen. She's gonna know her favorite hotel room at that hotel in Portugal to go to all these international seasons. Um, but anyway, the design looks come out, and there are only five of them. So up first is Dulce, and here's the thing: it's very simple look. It is a simply cut blue dress that fits her well. Uh, And I sort of see a lot of hems. I don't see anything that rough, but also it's very, very simple, including the cape. And I feel like this, we'll talk about this later, but remember this one. Put a pin in this one too.
Yeah.
So then came Star. And I have to say, after all the consternation about like doing a mermaid dress, I actually thought for what it was made in the workroom, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was god awful. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was well made. And remember, Carson is here and he knows fashion. So I'm like, okay, what am I missing? Did you hate this look, Evan?
Greg, I'm gonna be so real with you right now. I didn't hate this look. It was the thing where is it a little bit messy? Is it a little bit too busy? Yes. But I kind of liked it. Like I would say I'd love it. It's not going to win the challenge. I know that much at the very least. But like there's effort, there's ideas in there. Yes, it's a little unfocused, but I do feel like it was a more successful outfit. I'll be full real. Yeah.
And listen, if you don't want to believe us, and by the way, this was not a troll take by her. Plain Jane tweeted out yesterday that when she watched the episode, she thought it was the second best constructed look out of the five of them. And she didn't get it. She was shocked. She's not
Yeah.
the only person who's saying this. So, as much as I'm really enjoying this Canadian season, there's weird stuff going on here that I don't
Yes.
understand. Um, Up next was Van Gogh.
Mhm.
And I only had one question for this. Did the cat suit come separately? Did the
She
the fabric catsuit? Because if so, and I know they're allowed to bring stuff,
Yes.
that's a big part of this. And I don't
Yes.
know if I love that, to be honest. I understand the technical, what she did
Hmm.
making the bodice, and as a styled look, it looked
Right.
great. But if she brought that to do that herself, like if that was already a thing that she could just throw on, why are points not being docked? Am I wrong?
The thing is that like when it was looking at the workroom, I did see this fabric around. I just wasn't sure if it was actual like bunched up
Ah,
fabric or if it was a bunched up actual bodysuit. There was actually I could not genuinely tell, but I agree it does make it in there, and I think the hat is immaculate. And like as soon as she walked out, I'm like, well, she's winning the challenge. Like it
yeah.
just had it was an impact piece, and it was the thing as much as go ahead.
And by the way, I will say this, please listeners tell us if Van Gogh has said that she did make that, then it's amazing. Then it was 100% an amazing look. It's so good and I'm all for it and the win was there. But if it was something that she just threw on, I don't know.
That's a different
Um,
story. Exactly.
okay. So also, we talked earlier this episode about Sammy Laundry, like, what is it you do well?
Hmm.
I'm now also wondering about PM. What is it you do well as a drag queen? Because you have these great looks that you wear back home and that you've come into the workroom with, but I'm not really seeing it on the show. And this look, and she doesn't know how to make, she doesn't make her own stuff at all. You would
Yeah.
think that PM was a queen just based on looking at their Insta, like, oh, she's a designer. She does all the, no,
Right.
she's having other people do this. Which by the way is fine. It's not to like invalidate her as a queen, but she gives that sort of like, I'm this creative queen who does all this stuff. I thought this was bad. I
Yeah.
did not understand the black band against the nipples. I was trying to wonder like, okay, did you make this look and then they said you have to cover your nipples because of American, for WoW or something, which hasn't
Right.
been an issue in the past. And if not, why would she do a black band and instead not just put like pasties on or something? Like
Pasties, right, exactly. I
I
mean, we already saw when she took off her shirt earlier on, like Saltina had these
yeah.
nuclear physics, radioactive pasties on her tits as well. She could have just borrowed and colored over them. There was
I
options that were available, but also if she was in a panic state, like, maybe not always think of that, right?
I I just there is a sense of maybe her taste level is not what she's maybe it's not as high as we think it is or that they thought it was. I'm super curious about that. But
I
maybe it was
love
just a bad
PM.
day.
I love PM. It was not a good look. Let's be real.
Maybe it
Okay.
was just a bad day. Hazel was up next. I just wrote I can't even remember the look. I wrote super simple. Do you remember it?
So the look that she had on, this was one where it was a red dress, so it kind of was cut off right at the top of the thighs. There were red bands, like ribbons, that went around her arms and then went around her legs. It was basically a red dress with a triangle cut out in front,
Yeah.
and then it was sparkly, and then there was a good little silver chain that hung down and split out from it. But yeah, it was basically pretty basic. Like it was fine, it was simple, but it was kind of basic.
So then they're all sort of judged together, both the Snatch Game winners and the design winners,
Yep,
and
yep,
we
yep,
have
yep.
five queens who are safe. Ebony, sure. Hazel, sure. Sultina Shaker, expected. Sammy Landry, okay, safe.
Okay.
And then Dulce is safe. And
Yep.
I didn't think Dulce should have been safe. I thought Dulce was low, and I thought Star should have been safe. But no, that's not what happens. So, I actually wrote like what in like capital, like what is happening. So, uh, then what did I write? Oh, I can't remember. Did they go back into the workroom? We have the
Well,
winners. We find out that the
yeah,
winners are
first
Van
first they
Gogh
get they
and
get their critiques, which is pretty
yeah.
well aligned on pretty much all fronts. And then yes, so we find out that there are the two winners, which in this case is going to be Maya and it's going to be Van Gogh. They are very rightly the winner, but the problem is that even though they do that and they win a prize and yay yay yay, we have a bottom four, but we find out that
Hmm.
the Golden Beaver is still in effect because there's not one. Flip it around, there's two Golden Beavers, and it's funny. I think my husband collected. There's like the regular season one and the All Stars one. That's the ones that they had for the prop department. So it's two slightly
Oh,
different beavers, which is great. But what happens is that there's a bottom four. They each get to the winning queen gets to save one of the two queens of their group, and then those queens get to interview. They get to combat each other in the lip sync at the bottom. So like fascinating thing. They go back into the workroom, and then all of a sudden, here come the tears, baby. Here comes the tears
Oh,
and the critiques, and all the people on the Snatch Game side saying that they want Caramel to stay because they thought she did better than Velma. Like it's a whole rigmarole kind of sadness, kind of whatever kind of thing that usually happens in these cases. So yeah,
I think what I wrote was the not the worst are not in the bottom.
yes,
And I wrote, I sort of hate this. Like, I
yeah.
just sort of hate this. And I know it's part of the fun strategic stuff that they want to do with the show, but I, I would have felt more comfortable with all this if Star had been safe and Dulce was in the bottom. But it is what it is. Uh,
Listen,
and I did write here. A lot of friends are not playing for their friends. Like it's super competitive.
yeah.
Um, but yeah. And also Van Goth is being overly strategic with what she's doing. And Evan, what do they do? What does what does Van Goth and sorry, not you, Evan. We don't have a choice in this.
We have to sit through this. It's okay.
What did Van Goth and Maya, our two winners, decide to do?
Well, I listen, Greg. I'll tell you right now. I was just ready for the worst. I was ready for that Velma PM lip sync. I was ready for the show to torture me with two of my favorites coming into the fucking season because, of course, they fucking were gonna. And then I will say, to her credit, Maya actually decides to save Velma. And a lot of people are shocked given the workroom discussion that just happened, but she did it. She's going to award this queen over here. So now Cara Milk is going to be in the bottom. And then Van. You know what? Van has a lot of alliances and doesn't really have one with PM, but saves PM, citing the fact that this is when it came to the bottom two, Star had the option to pick her thing and failed at it. Meanwhile, PM did not, so didn't feel it was fair that she be in there. For those watching the YouTube iteration, Greg had rolled his eyes right there. I didn't even need to get a soundboard in here to really spice things up. Wah wah. Uh, but but either way, Caramel and Star are now going to be lip syncing against each other in a true classic song. Greg, what is this? What is this legendary track that they decided to pick?
I don't know. I didn't write it down. What is it?
It
Oh
is
no,
Tonight I'm
oh,
Getting
it's
Over
Carly Rae
You
Jepsen. Tonight I'm
by
getting over
Carly Rae
you.
Jepsen. My
Because we're
goodness.
running out of where they're running out of tracks they can afford to get from
Track
Carly Rae
specifically
Jepsen.
from Emotion to play.
Because the new songs are too expensive, and that's the problem is they don't want to use any of the new ones.
I love her
Um,
new songs.
I do
Talking to
too.
myself, come on, it's
I
real.
know.
Exactly. We get a
Psychedelic
lip sync
Switch.
though.
We get a
Yeah,
lip sync.
girl, give me that fucking
Give
Daft
me a
Punk
psychedelic
cosplay
switch.
goddamn day. But yeah, Greg, I don't know about you, but we have a lip sync on our hands. We have an
We
actual lip
do.
sync because it is a good song. It is an upbeat song. It has a lot of energy to it. And listen, we knew Caramel was going to give a performance and star for all of her bright-eyed performance aesthetics that she has.
Killed it.
She really did
She killed
fucking
it.
good. She really did. Like I was a little bit shocked on here.
I
Do
thought
I
she
is it
won.
she really knocked it out of the park. And the thing is that Caramel also did really good too. I did think that Caramel had a little bit more levels in overall her performance. I do think that she had maybe a more consistent through line overall, but I mean like it was a good lip sync. It would have been close to to call, and honestly before they announced the decision, Brooklyn says this was a close one and she's not lying.
She's not lying. So they send Star home, and we'll get to that in a second. But what I just
Yes.
wanted to bring up is because of all the mechanisms and bullshit that they did by not putting Dulce in the bottom, they have now eliminated a really good performer from the show.
Yeah.
And we now know, we already know that not all the other queens are great performers.
Yeah.
And that is a concern to me moving on for the season because it means one, you're probably going to get a lot of not so balanced lip syncs. And when we have dance challenges or if they do a musical, I don't know if they're doing a musical this season. They might not
Yeah.
be. Um, I'm worried about that. But you know, we've now sent home. They didn't know Paolo could perform. Paolo didn't even know she could perform, but
Yeah.
they've sent home two good performers. And that listen, they were good lip syncs. You want that early in the season, but I feel like this was a mistake. I feel like if you gave Brooklyn a cigarette and we're just hanging out outside after the club, she'd be like, "Yeah, probably should have put Dulce in the bottom." but it is what it is. But more importantly, Evan, can you talk about what happened on this episode, which we have never seen in the history of Drag Race on any franchise ever?
So, Cara Milk is declared the winner on this one here. It's emotional, and Star, she just look this very emotional. She like basically gets down on her knees and is starting to cry. Cara Milk looks over at her and just looks like she feels bad for having just defeated her. Like it's a whole thing. But long story short, she goes to make her way to the back of the stage, but Star just keeps crying. And it's one of those deep cries, Greg. It's one of those
Yeah.
ugly cries. It's one of those hard cries. And unfortunately, it is captured on film. This isn't Juicebox in season one, episode one, having a panic attack and freezing. No, this is like pure holy shit, I was let down. And instead of just letting the cameras linger on her tear-soaked face, Brooklyn, in her dress, gets up from the panel and goes down onto the stage and just hugs her and just says a lot of things like basically, just because this happened does not mean you are a bad queen. You will get over this.
Yes.
There are a lot, like it's the things where it's like it almost doesn't matter what she said, but to have Brooklyn Heights sit down on the stage with you and just like hold you, whatever she says will help, and she helps. And it's a very brief moment, but it's still lovely and it's kind of
Yes.
incredible. Like it is shows the amount of compassion that exists here in this season and in
Yeah.
this franchise. She gets back up, she gives the classic exit line, and then, Star heads off and everyone says goodbye. But like, it's kind of an affecting moment. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say that if you want to talk about queens and placements and things like that, whether or not this redeems the episode or the season, but like, it was just lovely to see. It was lovely to
Yes.
see this another episode where stuff happened that just has not happened on Drag Race seasons before. Like, that's a
Yeah.
big deal. Like, it shows
That's
why this
fun.
franchise and this season is different. Yeah.
I agree. I also we have to bring up in case you haven't watched. Brooklyn also did this in her slippers. She was not wearing, unlike Rue, she's still wearing her outfit, but she's
Yeah.
wearing slippers. And for all we know, to be honest, this could have been slightly longer. But
Yeah.
it may have been edited down a bit. They may have been more than a couple minutes. It's basically about 30 seconds of screen time, but
Yeah.
my guess is it was longer. And I also thought something that was really interesting is also online. I also caught, I think it came out over the last 24 hours, is Megami talked about how that when she was eliminated on her season, she doesn't remember it because her heart was racing, she was shaking, she could barely like stay sort of coherent and not embarrass herself, and that it was she was so emotionally devastated, and she's like, so you don't understand that for many of these queens, it is everything that they have tried to do for years and years and years to just get on this show. Sort of
Yep.
like, for example, Athena Dion, who's going to be on
Hmm.
season 18. I'm actually, guys, I'm in New York. I'm going to be talking to the queens tomorrow. Um,
Worldwide T, make sure you
IT,
follow. Just
watch her meet
saying.
the queens. We're gonna have hopefully some audio from that. But she posted her react. I'm impressed they let her do it. She posted her reaction to finding out that she got on the show, and she'd applied for 13 straight years and hadn't
Wow.
got on. And she has
What
this like
countries? US and Canada both?
no, just US.
Okay.
Athena Dion. And
Yeah.
she had like she just broke down. And I think, it's like the Olympics for people. It's your career. It's like getting, there are people this morning who are overjoyed because they got a Golden Globe nomination and they've
Yep.
never gotten anything before. And let me tell you, a Golden Globe ain't shit. Like it's not that important. It really isn't. But because if you've never gotten to that pinnacle, if you're Tessa Thompson and have never gotten a nomination of any kind like this before, or if you're Rose Byrne and you've only gotten Emmy nods and you've never
Right.
gotten anything for your
A film
film work,
nod. Yeah.
this means something to these people. And I think that was the thing that stuck with me the most was, okay, this does mean a lot to them. It is Canada's drag race, but this has now been around for what, we're season 7 or 8? I can't remember.
This
This is
is
season
season 6.
6. Still
Yeah.
six
We've had
years.
two
Like,
versus the world, so yes,
yeah,
yeah.
two versus world, but it's eight seasons of that. Like it is an established thing. It means something if you do drag in Canada.
Yep.
And it meant a lot to them. And I totally get it. So Star, I hope if there's an, who was saying it? I think Brooklyn just did an interview where it sounds like she doesn't want to do versus the world. She wants to do an All Stars next.
Mm.
I don't know if Crave wants to do that because I don't know if they think it's money wise. I don't know if they think they have enough stars to make it work money wise, for the
Oh, we
viewership.
can find stars. Are you kidding me? Fierce Delicious back on her third time. Bring in
Oh,
Poopy Poison. I'm sure she can speak decent English. I'm sure that could happen.
oh, poopy poison.
I mean,
Imagine
come
that'd be
on.
amazing. But you know, I hope Star maybe gets another chance down the road, and maybe she'll watch this and go, "Oh, I get it now. I get what they
Yeah.
saw." Maybe not. Any
Yeah.
other thoughts on this episode, Evan?
Overall, I mean, despite some of the judging, I still think this is a good episode. I think the season is kind of on a tear right now. Like we can talk
Yeah.
about some of the more elements about queens and placements and things like that. It feels like their whole idea of like we want to inject this, we want to have popularity, we want to have these viral moments again. Like there's only so much you can do to make that happen, but it's
Yes.
happening, and it's
Mm.
like it just feels like they really are in tune with what they want, what the fans want, and it's just really cool to see. So I'm holding out hope. I have no idea who is going to win. That's not named Altina Altshaker, but I think it's going to be fantastic to see what happens. Who do you think is going to win the season, Greg? Earnestly, honestly,
I mean, we already have one queen with two wins, and we're only on the
this
third. Wait, we're on the fourth
third. This is
episode?
the third episode. This is the third
Third
episode.
episode. So
Yeah,
that's, I mean, if Van Gogh doesn't, Van Gogh, I'd be shocked if it doesn't make it to the finale. But
yeah.
it's looking like a big. Remember, there's only 9 episodes. I think there's only 9 episodes of Canada. There might only
Okay,
be 8. So yeah, it's gonna start. They're gonna start dropping quick. There's no double
okay,
saves this season, guys. There's
okay.
someone's going home every after the first episode. Someone's going home every
Yes,
week.
I'm told that I just double checked. There are 9 episodes this season. So
Yeah.
yes. All
So
right. So strap in. We're third
next
of the
week.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
next week we're almost halfway. Like so,
that's
and
absolutely
we're
crazy.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah. And you know what? Do us a favor. Make sure you come back and listen to our coverage of that soon here. If you want to see the queens that made it into our comment section, check out our Meet the Queens video for that. We have another Meet the Queens coming soon for season 18. There might be some fun little surprises there. But most critically, Greg, as always, it is a pleasure. And most critically, thank everybody for listening and watching and following and
Thanks,
reviewing and doing
guys.
all that good stuff. We appreciate it. We'll catch you next week. Take care. Goodbye.